Some stories aren't just tales spun to scare you. They're real, pulled from the lives of people who face the unexplainable. Tonight, we're diving deep into 3 true accounts so disturbing, they'll claw their way into your mind and refuse to let go. Lock your doors, turn off the lights, and brace yourself. Stay with us until the end, if you can stomach the terror. Welcome to the dark heart of fear, where nightmares take root and reality twists into something sinister. If you're hooked on the thrill of the unknown, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to join our legion of shadow dwellers. These aren't just stories, they're real events, lived by real people who came face to face with the impossible. Grab a blanket, check the locks, and let's plunge into the first nightmare. It's 2:13 a.m. on a desolate stretch of Highway 17, a road so remote it's barely a whisper on most maps. Mark, a grizzled truck driver with 2 decades behind the wheel, grips the steering column tight. The fog tonight is thicker than he's ever seen, swallowing his headlights like a living thing. His radio, usually his only companion, cuts to static, sharp, jagged bursts that make his skin crawl. Just the weather, he mutters to himself, trying to shake the unease. But then, through the mist, he sees it, a tall, gaunt figure standing dead center in the road. It doesn't move, its head is tilted, and its eyes, God, its eyes glow faintly, like embers in the dark. I thought it was a deer, Mark later told police, his voice shaking. But no deer stands that still, or stares like that.
Mark slams the brakes so hard the truck skids, his heart hammering in his chest. I almost hit it, he told investigators later, his hands still trembling. He leans out the window, shouting into the fog, but there's nothing, just silence and the endless white haze. He shakes his head, chalking it up to exhaustion, and starts driving again. But the cab feels different now. The air's colder, heavier, like someone's breathing just behind him. Then he hears it, a creak, sharp and deliberate, from the passenger seat. I didn't want to look, he said later, but I had to. He glances over and his blood runs cold. Wet, muddy footprints stain the floor mat, fresh as if someone just stepped in. They lead nowhere. I wasn't alone, he whispered to a friend days later. I felt it sitting there, watching me, waiting for something. Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed him off that road. Days later, he's cleaning his truck when he sees it, a charred handprint, seared into the passenger seat, the fabric scorched like it was burned from the inside out. I touched it, he said. It was warm, like it just happened. Desperate for answers, he stops at a diner near the highway. An old waitress, her hands shaking as she pours his coffee, listens to his story. Her face pales. That road's cursed, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. 40 years ago, a hitchhiker was hit there, left to die in the fog. They say he never left. He picks a driver, marks their vehicle, and stays with them. Forever. Mark's stomach dropped. It picked me, he told her, his voice breaking. I can still feel its eyes on me. Mark sold the truck within a week. I couldn't stay in it, he told a friend, his eyes hollow. Every night I'd hear that static, like it was trying to speak to me. He moved to a small apartment, hoping to leave it all behind. But the nightmares followed. His radio flickers on at 2:13 a.m., spitting static and whispers he can't quite make out. Sometimes, in the dead of night, he sees it, a shadow in the fog, standing outside his window, its glowing eyes locked on him. It's still with me, he says, his voice barely audible. It's never going to leave me alone. Sarah, a 32-year-old antique collector with a passion for the strange, steps into a dusty shop tucked away in a forgotten corner of town. The air smells of mildew and old wood. Among the cluttered shelves, a porcelain doll catches her eye. Its cracked face and glass eyes seem to glint under the dim light, almost alive. It's just a doll, she tells herself, laughing off the chill that runs down her spine. The shopkeeper, an old man with trembling hands, hesitates when she asks to buy it. "That one's particular," he says, his voice low. "It belonged to someone who didn't let go easily." Sarah shrugs it off, handing over the cash. "It's perfect for my collection," she says with a smile. But as she leaves, the shopkeeper mutters, "Be careful. It doesn't like being owned." Sarah places the doll on a shelf in her living room, its eyes seeming to follow her every move.
Just my imagination.
She tells a friend over the phone, laughing nervously. But that night, she wakes to a faint thud. The doll is no longer on the shelf. It's sitting on her kitchen table, staring at her.
I must have moved it and forgotten.
She says, her voice shaking as she locks it in a glass case. The next morning, it's back on the table.
This isn't funny anymore.
She whispers to herself. Desperate, she sets up a camera. The footage chills her to the bone. The doll's head slowly turns, its glass eyes locking onto the lens. "It moved," she told a friend later, her voice trembling.
It wanted me to see it.
Sarah drives back to the antique shop, the doll locked in her trunk. The shopkeeper isn't surprised.
"I warned you," he says, his eyes avoiding her. "That doll belonged to a girl who died in a fire in 1923. Her mother said she loved that doll too much, said it carried her spirit." Sarah's heart races. "What does it want?" she asks. The old man leans closer. "It doesn't like being locked away," he says. "It wants to be seen, and it wants to stay close." Sarah feels a chill as she remembers the doll's eyes. "I didn't sign up for this," she says, her voice breaking. The shopkeeper shakes his head. "You didn't choose it. That night, it chose you." Sarah builds a fire in her backyard. "I'm done with you," she says, tossing the doll into the flames. The porcelain cracks, the eyes melt, and she breathes a sigh of relief. But the next morning, she freezes. In the ashes, untouched by the fire, are the doll's glass eyes, unbroken, staring up at her. "I burned it," she told a friend, her voice barely a whisper. "But it's not gone. I still feel it watching me." Sometimes, at night, she hears it, a faint giggle from the shadows, like it's waiting for her to look.
Still with us, these stories aren't just tales, they're real. And the shadows they cast might be closer than you think.
If you felt the chill, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more nightmares, delivered straight to you. In the comments, tell us which story will keep you up tonight. The figure in the fog, the doll that moved, or something else lurking in the dark. Stay safe, and keep watching.